I'm doing the same thing you are.
Oh, okay. I don't really want to be on camera though.
No one.
This may be our new home if we can get a block of rooms here, not far from the White House.
Le llamaban la aceleradora para sacar cuántos mortgages. ¿Tú te imaginas si no se va a terminar? Así bien,
Oh my God.
More traction than I think we've ever really gotten. People say, yeah. No, but I forgot the number. But it was, you know, well, several people said that.
Okay, how about if we stand right here?
You're fine. We still gotta call it over the radio. All right. Group name is Mothers for Lost Children.
Mothers of Lost Children.
Protesting for or against?
For the protection of children.
For children against the courts putting them with flattery.
Oh yeah, come on. That makes a
Thank you.
so we're getting us to eat.
She was nervous, girl. She was like, cut it down for you. It's okay. Keep along. It's okay. What? I'm sorry, I can't go.
Right now? Here I am. Where'd they go?
Okay. As long as she has it, it's fine. It's fine.
Good evening. Why are you here at the White House today?
I'm here because my daughter, my daughter told her second grade teacher that her father was molesting her. And when I went into a family court, I discovered that they were not interested in protecting my daughter's rights. Instead, they took my daughter and gave full custody to the molester. I have been fighting to protect my daughter for 7 years. I now have no contact with the child I gave birth to that I've been trying to protect. I'm a mandated reporter. I work in the Napa Valley, California, and that is where they took full custody and gave my child to the known perpetrator.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
What brings you?
For
Sure.
your own personal website?
For the website, for mothersoflostchildren.org.
Okay.
What brings you to the White House this evening?
Well, I'm here to support the fellow mothers and myself who have gone through the abuse of the court system. And I'm here to fight for the rights of children, in particular for my son, who is living with an abusive father.
Well, thank you for your service.
Thank you.
What brings you to the White House this evening?
Well, what brings me is I'm with the National Safe Child Coalition and also Women Mothers of Lost Children. And the reason we're here tonight is to further bring attention to the crisis that are going on in family courts and in this country, where 58,000 children a year are being taken from their parents, their protected parents. Children reporting abuse, and it's being bounced into family court as opposed to criminal court. And they're silencing the children, silencing the mothers, and taking the children, giving them to the abusers. So now, after 20 years of this, we have over 1 million children in the hands of abusers. And oftentimes, many of these children haven't seen their mothers for years. They drive the women into destitution. These are, perfectly good citizens in this country. They earn a living, but once they go into the court system, they are driven into destitution in the course of trying to protect their children. The abusers get their money. They take the children, they get child support, and they run these women, into the ground as much as possible. So we are some women here that are we're strong enough to transcend that. We go through our struggles, but we want the country to know it's a silent epidemic in this country. And so now we're able to, through the internet and through protests and rallies, and through lobbying Congress, we're trying to get this issue on the national forefront and make the average American more enlightened about the travesties going on in this country. Because it is out and out corruption. And the taxpayer dollars are going towards this corruption as well. So,
Thank you for your service.
thank you.
Yeah, what am I doing here at the White House? I'm here in support of all the children who've been put into the hands of abusers and batterers. And the reason they're in those hands is that their mothers took every reasonable, right, and appropriate step to protect them. And they found themselves in the battle of their lives. They were told to get themselves help, to get themselves safe, to get their children help and get their children safe. And they found that they entered into a Alice in Wonderland world where the very fact that they took reasonable and appropriate efforts to protect their children made them crazy, made them seem obsessed, made them seem unreliable, and with the help of psychological pseudo-diagnoses, every bit of evidence is rendered not interesting or wiped out or is trumped. And it is an unspoken, uncovered national tragedy. And that's why I'm here.
Thank you for your service. Let me try night shot. It's a beautiful evening in front of the White House on a Saturday night. I see you got your candle lit. Can you tell me why you're here?
Thank you so much. I've joined mothers from across the country to come to the White House to ask our President and First Lady to help us protect our children. What we are discovering is that routinely, when a child discloses child sexual abuse and the mother goes into family court to try and protect them, the child is being placed in the home of the perpetrator. No matter what the evidence, we are discovering that CPS rejects this information and sends it into family court, where they are improperly investigating. They actually do nothing to help the child. What they do is they are being trained to be skeptical of the mother and the child who reports child sexual abuse.
I see. Go.
What we're discovering is that mothers are being, What we're discovering is that when we go into court to protect our children, our civil rights are being denied, our due process. When we ask for attorneys, when there is a disparity in the income, there are family codes, Family Code 2030, that are routinely rejected by judges so that the mother will not be protected, that their rights will not be protected. And we are concerned about our children. And so we ask you, Mr. President and First Lady, to please protect our children. It is reported by the CDC that 1 out of 4 girls will and are being sexually assaulted before the age of 18. 1 in 6 boys will and are being sexually assaulted before the age of 18. This is reported to be an epidemic in our country, as obesity is an epidemic. Isn't there an interesting connection between those two issues, that I ask you, our First Lady, to look into? I know that you are concerned about the health and welfare of our children, and so I ask you, please, and I urge you to look at this connection and protect our children, their health and well-being. America, God His grace on thee, and crown thy good with a sisterhood from sea to shining sea.
Why are you here?
I'm from Vietnam.
You tried to bring a campaign in your country?
Yes, of course. This is for the global campaign.
Cool. Well, welcome.
Twice.
Welcome.
In Brazil, especially violence against women has been evolving really quickly because there's one specific law that's been approved for the last 2 years. It's called Law Maria da Penha. she's a woman that was assaulted by her husband, and she struggled a lot, and now women are protected by this law. So it's really very strict law, and it has been evolving pretty quickly.
I mean, when you mentioned Brazil, the first thing I think of was international refugee campaign.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't know how people view
Yeah,
that.
no, that actually that's not that hasn't been on the news for a very long time. Yeah.
With all the power
Good night, White House.
that lady over
Good morning. Today is Sunday, October, let's see, 28th. And we have just been shooed out of Lafayette Park. The cops have closed the park. The cops have closed H Street. And that's too bad because we're supposed to be meeting all of our comrades here at 11 o'clock. And our protest march goes from 11 to 3. Now, the cop was pretty secretive about what's going on. He wouldn't tell me why they have closed Pennsylvania Avenue, but evidently we got the do not enter sign. Yes, I can see that there are no tourists on Pennsylvania Avenue. Everybody's being hi again. It's closed. Why is it closed? All right, that man took our picture yesterday. He's checking it out. He sees that it's closed. The cops have it all cordoned off. So, well, we know that there's a Marine Marathon today, but we don't know why the marathon trumps our permit to protest. What are these people being told? I can see the rest of the civilians on the other end of the plaza. Well, we're going to have to tell our members to regroup. And where are we going to regroup? Well, we could regroup at 17th Street at Cosi. Cosi is one spot. Right? Cosi. Let's connect.
Children being missing, it's because it's, fathers or somebody like that that's taking them,
Exactly.
taking them away,
Exactly. So that's why we're here.
Yeah.
And you don't know why they closed Lafayette Park.
I don't have any idea. I tell you, it's so secretive here a lot of times. You don't have any clue what's going on. So.
That was a nice comment. Thanks for my documentary. Another place we could regroup is at Caribou Coffee. Caribou, corner of 17th and, where are we? Corner of 17th and, what's this one? Oh well, I'll get the address. Thanks, bye. Another option is Potbelly's. Yeah, we're still waiting to see what's going on. We let our generals know they've closed Pennsylvania Avenue. We're regrouping here. We're regrouping at Potbelly's. They got some swinging music, hey?
Interview that occurred at 10 a.m. this morning with Lenore Walker for a major radio station here in Washington, D.C. Really? To talk about our work to give children legal rights in the Congress. So, awesome! Thanks to all of your great groundwork we were able to talk about how people in Congress are paying attention and we're going to be pushing a bill through. And so, yeah, she's a great contact and someone that we can talk to as we continue to build on what you guys are doing. And it's 2 stations here in DC. One of them is a brand new channel specifically for government employees, and it's focusing on the intersection between government and business. And she thought this was a perfect story for this issue. The reporter did. So, our issue was perfect for that network. So she's on in the evening, so it's sometime this week it's going to air, but they're going to have it on their website and we can circulate it around. And, yeah.
Excellent. All right.
Oh, that's excellent. Good morning.
Hi. Happy birthday. Oh, yay. It's so great you made it. And all of this Michigas, huh? Yes, I know. Yeah, I have a handful of our children here. Yes.
Did you want your shirt back?
Oh, I have it. I'm going to take it off. Yes.
We have a table if you want to put things back.
Okay. Where is it? Here? Leora Rosen.
This is Leora Rosen.
Your Honor. What a wonderful. I don't know. Are they big enough?
This is great, Kathleen. The Eagles are gathering.
Yes, it's happening finally. We're getting close to the tipping point.
Yay.
Access to the 14-month-old to begin around the first week of September. I saw the 14-month-old a total of 28 hours in 14 months of life. And the last visit was a week from yesterday. She dropped the child off with a supervised exchange person. The supervised exchange person got the child to the perpetrator at 10, and the child was dead by 1:30. And this became personal for me because this woman and I were going to meet on Friday night and take our children to Boo at the Zoo. Ari was going to go and meet her son. And so on Saturday, she sends me a text. Sure, just a second, hon. On Saturday, this just happened. The funeral was Thursday, and I spent all day with her. So, the question was, if even I was, here I am, a doctor. This is the worst thing I have ever lived through in my entire life. The judge in this case is completely responsible for what happened. When he ordered the unsupervised visitation, he said, "This is why I don't like being a family court judge." And he went off on a big expose about himself. Instead of focusing on the needs of the child, he was focused on himself and how horrible it was for him to have to make this decision, which ended up to be the wrong
personality disorder right there.
Right. Well, it's a combination of
I
people.
missed the first part of your sentence. What happened to this mother?
Well, to make a very somewhat long story short, the father, quote unquote, only had 28 hours of total time with the 14-month-old before the 14-month-old was dead in his care. And the exact cause of death has not yet been determined. But I calculated, considering from the time that unsupervised visitation was ordered until the time the child died, the odds of a random medical event happening to that child were less than 1 in 100. And so, and the mother said to me, so actually the chances of this happening as an accident were about the same as me winning the lotto. And the answer is yes. Because the father had the child so few total hours compared to how long the mother had. If the child was going to have a random medical event, it would have occurred on the mother's time. It was something like 1,500 or more hours of the total period just from the time the unsupervised visitation was ordered, not to mention the whole child's entire life. But if you just start that clock ticking from the time the unsupervised visitation started till the time of the child's death,
the ratio of hours spent with the mother versus the father was like 1,000 to 1. And just by coincidence, the child happened to pass away on the father's time. Come on.
Did the child return from previous visits with any injuries or
Well, okay, so there were issues on the previous visits, and I spent, and one of those previous visits was on September 8th, and I spent about 3 hours with the mother, and we put together a document describing why there should be a halt to these unsupervised visits. And the mother took this to her attorneys, and her attorneys advised her that if she were to go forward with the motion, that she would risk losing custody because she would be labeled as an alienator. And so we talked about it, and we were trying to balance short-term safety with long-term safety. And so, under the advice of her attorneys, we didn't proceed. But
what were the issues that came up in previous visits?
Well, it's kind of a complicated case, so it doesn't make a nice soundbite.
Right.
But there were issues, and then there were big issues, and then there were small issues. So, for example, he only had the child for 7 hours, and the child would be returned with the same diaper that was full of pee, and the clothing was saturated. It was clear.
So neglect issue.
Neglect issue, but that was a small thing compared to the bigger thing. And they're just trapped between a rock and a hard place. And of course, the mother blames herself. And but the thing is that we said to her, well, even if you hadn't taken him that day, it would have been some other day. So the thing I think is so completely ridiculous is the court saw fit to give this mother full legal custody. This man had no say in the medical decision making, any of the decision making. So I think if the court's going to see fit to do that because they have such profound reservations about this individual, then why would they put a baby in his unsupervised care? It makes no sense. It makes no sense. So that's why I'm here.
Thank you for being here.
I think the reason why they do that, because I was a program manager at the National Institute of Justice for many years, and it was a study that we funded. I can't remember the exact year when this was done, but it's probably accessible through the web, and I'll certainly look it up. But one of the things they found was that when judges make these custody decisions, they try to be fair to both sides. So if there is joint, let's say the judge decides, okay, 50-50 joint custody, he thinks that the father may be an abuser, so he gives joint custody with let's say physical custody to the mother, but the father's access is strictly supervised. So he's given a little bit to both parents, but he's sort of try to make sure that there's some protection. On the other hand, in cases where the judges gave full custody to the mother, there were few, if any, restrictions on the father's access.
Oh, wow.
So it appeared as if they were trying to be, quote unquote, fair to both sides. So if they gave what appeared to be a lot to the mother, then they try to do something for the father that he wouldn't sue the judge or whatever, I don't know. But
well, it proves it's not about the child.
No, it proves it's not about the child. It's about the judge trying to cover his rear end.
And I've thought a lot about this in the last 5 years. That this is about the treatment of children as property, and that's the fundamental issue. And as I see it in terms of the progression of our society, however many years ago that was now, 150 years ago, colored people of color were considered property. So we got rid of that. And now, until 1950s.
Where's my greeting? Yes.
Did you put it in the bag?